Hi-oh, it's Volix, and today we're back in Remnant 2. We are back doing voiceover stuff, back to check in with everybody for a new year. So happy 2024. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. I know I definitely did, but I also know that I'm kind of ready for things to settle into a regular, structured rhythm once again. I got a lot of new ideas and new music to share with you, so let's get into a small build video just to kick us off. Obviously, I'm a sucker for melee builds in this game. I've noticed that pretty much everything I do lately when I'm playing Remnant is try to find ways to implement weapons that I haven't used before, just for the hell of it. Today, the weapon we're using is the Red Doe Staff. I've always loved the Red Doe Staff for its high flashiness index, but the problem is that I've never found cause to use the thing because it just didn't seem like it was up to the task of bossing on Apocalypse, so I set out to change my mind about it. Basically, we had to throw together a super tanky melee build that could take almost any shot in the game and then recover lost health instantly, all while being strong enough to deal some respectable damage. So, pretty much the two options for a mutator that would make such a build work are Steadfast and also Resentment, because those are your only options for reducing stagger besides skills. I've never really used either of them before, but I remember seeing a video from Vash Cow.
Fetchez la vache! Quoi? Fetchez la vache!
Vash, le Vash, kawaii, using the Steadfast mutator to great effect, so I knew that it could be amazing. Unfortunately, I don't have superpowers like that guy, but I have heard tell of a few synergies between Resentment and the Atonement Fold, which are pretty awesome. Basically, while you're bleeding, the game treats you as having gray health all the time, meaning Resentment is active indefinitely. There are a bunch of other interactions with Atonement Fold, obviously. I mean, this is probably the most popular ring from the DLC, being really easy to acquire and also stupid powerful. And I know I'm late to the party and everything, but what the hell, let's party anyway. Here's the build. And before I say anything, let me just point out that it sucks for ranged enemies. You're pretty much gonna need an alternative solution for some fights, but it's fun as hell when it's working properly. We're running Matriarch so that we can spam the Red Doe charge attack, Hardcore Metal Band because it has the best name in the whole game, and also Atonement Fold keeps it humming constantly. And then the Bleed Ring, obviously. And last, we stack 2 Lifesteal Rings. And the reason why is that bleeding doesn't just take your life, it reduces all your healing by 50%, which is pretty bad. However, Lifesteal is treated differently from healing. So anything with language like increases healing a certain percentage, like the trait that comes with the Medic archetype, this does not apply to Lifesteal. But by the same principle, debuffs to healing shouldn't apply to lifesteal either. So this is always going to be the main source of HP recovery in this build. Now, for our main source of damage, we've got Red Doe with Resentment, of course. Unfortunately, the stats on screen are not representing the extra 30% bonus we get from the mutator, but I've tested it and it is indeed always on. So basically, that's happening all the time, plus the more important aspect, which is the -1 stagger modifier during any melee attack whatsoever. So you could just drive up to somebody and just ignore them. And then afterward, whatever damage they manage to do to you, after that 80% DR and all that, you'll promptly steal it back because the Siphoner and the rings, you're getting plus 15% lifesteal on all your melee attacks, which is amazing. And also just plus 9 on any attack whatsoever, so that's pretty good too. Plus, on every hit, you're both charging and casting the Red Doe Staff, which is generating 10% health for you and your allies, but you have to remember that your healing is cut down by 50%, so it's not that much, but still something is better than nothing. So, for weapons, I've just been loving Sparkfire lately. I'm using Song of Aether because it reduces damage by 15%, so that's amazing, especially because it's the incoming damage, so you can still have 80% DR, and the song will be functional on top of all that, I believe. At least it feels like that intuitively, and if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. Additionally, using Spirit Healer with the mod generates 15% health regen every time you pop it. This is for every 300 mod power spent. That's 1,000 mod power, so you get 5% for every 300. That's 15%. Again, this is cut down by the bleed, but still, it's another source of passively regenerating health, which just makes for even more survivability in the build. For our handgun, I've got the Corrupted Rune Pistol, just because it's fancy. But also, you can get a 10% buff out of it for the beginning of a fight, which is nice. And also Kill Switch, which has become a totally unexpected standard on most of my builds. Because surprise, that mutator is bugged on certain guns and does way too much damage. It says it deals like 250 damage, but it actually deals like over 1,000. And I've tested this, and the deal is that if the gun has its own mod on it, like if it doesn't have a free mod slot, it just does way more damage. It's totally weird. Even the language on the mutator changes from 250 to 750 as soon as you equip it onto a weapon, but only sometimes it behaves that way. Like, really weird, but yeah, don't tell anybody, I guess, because it's very handy for killing ads in the middle of boss fights. All right, our relic is Tranquil Heart, just because it's passive. I really like that all the healing in this build is passive because using relics is such a pain, but also the bleed ring makes all our healing suck. So I decided to just play without relics, basically. For shards, I'm using health, DR, and melee attack speed because we're already at the DR cap and I don't need any more armor. Plus, I doubt I'll ever run a melee build without extra melee attack speed because it's just who I am. Traits are really quite obvious. We've got regrowth, vitality, strong back, bark skin, whatever. All the tanky survivability traits. Also important in this build are amplitude, because believe it or not, it improves the range of the red dose staff charge attack ever so slightly. Plus, kill switch on the handgun becomes really quite great with some extra amp. In fact, I no longer feel the need to equip Enigma to deal with ads. I just kite them together and then delete them all with the kill switch. Arcane Strike is for keeping Song of Aether up as often as possible, but sometimes I also like to use Boar with this build, on which you can get like 100% uptime, because that 50% additional mod power generation that comes with Arcane Strike is just too good. Flashcaster just makes everything quicker so you can focus on getting into an attack pattern with your melee weapon and generating health. As far as stats go, as you can see, we're sitting pretty close to 80% DR on account of the 4 concoctions, thanks to our archetype. Thanks to Gunfire, again, for adding Meat Shake. But goddamn, it took forever to get this item. Dwayne can seriously go suck it. He is the worst cook.
Pretty sure it's almost done. Gotta let it simmer now. Just cool it off for a few. The heat can get to you sometimes. Whew, catching my breath. Cooking can really take it out of you sometimes. Just wanna make sure it's perfect for you. Give me a few. Just cool it off for a few. The heat can get to you sometimes.
No smoothie takes that long to make. Yeah, with all the shakes and everything working, it's 79.6% DR. Okay. In practice, all you have to do is drive up and start smashing the staff into the ground. That's it. Oh, and you want to find moments to pop your skills and such, which are Juggernaut and Frenzy Dust, and also Song of Aether. If you can fit it in, you can swap weapons here and there to slap a cool 1,000 points of damage on flying enemies, but also Song of Aether is great for those situations, and Sparkfire is more than sufficient for dealing with anything in the air. As you can see, when you're close to the target, you can keep on using the red dose staff indefinitely because of the matriarch, and it's charging up with every hit, so you get a whole other strike along with a regular staff strike. Base damage for the stag is pretty high, so it's usually hitting for like 1,000 plus. The other thing I love about that attack is when you need to, you can like swing the camera around, and the stag will charge in the direction of the camera, not necessarily in the direction that you're looking. It's really handy if there are enemies to your side or like on your 6 or something, and you want to continue striking at a target in front of you. Just sort of makes managing mobs a little bit easier. And that's about the size of it. I've got a few boss fights just to catch a vibe, but besides that, I think that pretty much does it for me this time. So, the other thing I want to say is that I'm just so glad to be back in the driver's seat and making videos after the holidays have ended. I have to say thank you to everyone for all of the views and the comments and the support. It really feels validating to have people contribute to this little corner of the gaming community that we have here on this channel. I love being able to contribute my own opinions on a topic that I absolutely just love. So I thought I'd just put forward some goals for 2024. My goal is to continue producing content for this channel on a consistent basis. I'm shooting for 1 video each week, except in cases where I'm on holiday or the editing work gets especially heavy. The reason being that I also aim to hold myself to a standard of quality deserving the attention of you all as a community. I want these videos to be awesome. So, thank you all for supporting this channel. If this video is at all fun or helpful, drop a like and sub. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. And of course, always remember to keep on farming.
Cackle, cackle, cackle.